Kenny, what was the explanation as to why the basket by Zach
He said they couldn't review it. I guess they missed it. They didn't even admit they missed it. You can't review that. So, too bad. It's I don't know. We make errors. We make mistakes. They make mistakes. They're not perfect. So I'm not gonna make a big deal out of it. That's not why we lost the game. But good question. I did speak with them.
What did you think overall of how you guys played defensively tonight?
Not good. It's one of those games you're not making shots. You're not making free throw. 11 for 19 from the free throw line. We didn't get stops, and their three main guys just got going, right? And they played great, and we couldn't slow them down, and we started blitzing, right? And double teaming those guys. You really doesn't want to be shouldn't be your main thing, right? And we had to go to that early, and then they started spraying out, hit some threes, and so not great. We didn't made a lot of mistakes, quite honestly, defensively.
Coach, I know it was his first game back in a while, but tied Rome at 10 points in the fourth quarter, and you opted to go away from him to end the game. Why was that decision?
Yeah, that was my decision. Just his obviously a health issue, and didn't want to risk it. Didn't want to risk. We had a minutes thing in our mind, and could I have said broke it? Of course, I always have the right to do that, but didn't want to do it. So.
In that instance, it seemed very scary for Donovan Mitchell when he went down, and then he went back to the locker room, but promptly came back to the floor. What was the mindset when that happened, and then also allowing him to go back into the game?
Yeah, I had a discussion with him. I said the same thing. I told him. I said, listen, if it's even 5% where you're a little weak or whatever, or it's bothering you, I said just you got to tell me so we can get you out. We're not. We got multiple games to try to clinch this thing. We're not don't have to do it tonight. And he said he was fine. Felt fine. So
you've talked a little bit this year about plus minus.
yeah.
I'm looking at the box score here, and in DeAndre's minutes, you guys were outscored by 28 in 22 minutes. Now, of course, that's not all on him. Do you have a top of mind explanation for that?
Yeah, Joe, I think that's why you got to be careful with the single game, plus minus. You'd have to, I'll have to dive deeper into it. But it happens. I'm not going to sit here and say he was, had a bad game or anything. Got to look at the film before I, make a fair judgment. And because what did the four guys around him look, and how did we execute all that stuff? But
Kenny, when Donovan was getting checked out there on the sideline and then went back to the locker room, do you think that kind of was deflating or distracting to the team?
I don't know. You'd probably have to ask the players that. And I know from ours, it's like from a coaching standpoint, I said, man, you just get the next guy in. Listen, I look at it as a positive. Imagine ankle's bad, he's out for a couple of weeks, right? That could easily happen. So I look at like positive, man. He came back and finished, played the whole fourth quarter. So might be the most positive thing of the night.
To that point, does it reinforce in your mind what you've been saying about health being the number one priority? Even
Yeah. And I was like, man, when he went down, I was like, oh man, we've been obviously, really, preaching that, and glad it was, it was really nothing.
Joey.
Kenny, Jared picked up 2 quick fouls their first 5 minutes, but you kept them in, and then 2 fouls the rest of the game. Is that one of those that just getting ready for playoffs and everything when you pick 2 quick ones like that?
And also analytics, right? You guys never foul out. Never. Rarely foul out when and I know the kind of old schools get them out, 2 fouls, and if he would have gotten his third, that's where you, Tristan or whoever you get him in there, but no thought of taking him out there.
Spence.
You're still obviously gathering more data as you get more of these situations, but how have you felt about your end of game execution this year as a whole?
I think that's pretty good for the most part. I don't know, I didn't feel like it was great against San Antonio. Tonight I would argue it was defensive execution. I don't felt like we, like I said, made a lot of mistakes. But we're gonna have great film of these last two games. Kind of look at it, and shot making's a part of it, right? I think it was like that last play where we had like four. It was like the microcosm of the game. I felt like get the offense through, kick out, miss. So, so we'll look at everything. We'll look at the shot quality. What we're, how we're, all the expected stuff to make sure we're on point. But we'll have good film to discuss tomorrow.
How much of success in those situations depends on your guys just making a play versus something that you draw up for them?
It's both. It's a combination. Sometimes you draw up a play and it works perfectly. Sometimes it doesn't. I think I drew up a play and initial play didn't work, but Max ends up making a play on the corner three. Sometimes we drew up a play for Evan coming out of the corner that one. He got a wide open three, missed it. So it really, really depends. It's kind of a little bit random. You try to get the advantage, try to get the ball, to the player that you think can make a play, but just really depends.
Tammy.
Before the game, you mentioned that you anticipated this being a tough one.
Yeah.
Zach was going and fighting for what you guys were fighting for. Did it have that intensity that you were expecting?
Just brutally honest, I didn't think our energy level was as high as I thought it would be. Considering we had, we have the first seed. It's kind of at stake. So I thought we were just their energy and intensity level was higher. I think we did pick it up a little bit, but little surprised we weren't more on point. And I don't know, do the missed shots where we're just clanking through, we were 2 for 20 at one point. Was that it? At some point it was really bad, the 3-point shooting and I think we let that affect our energy.
In the last game, you mentioned playing a full game and bringing the energy. Is that something, though, not having the energy that you were looking for tonight, is that something you can look at film, maybe work on that, or is that just...
Yeah, something we can talk to the guys about, and, the kind of dips and, where it is, and we'll show them here's 2 examples where we have to do better on both ends, right? It's defensively and offensively, but again, a little surprised. I thought we were going to come out and kind of knock it out the box tonight. That was my gut. Just goes to show your gut's not always correct.
Jeff.
So again, just on Donovan, are you at all concerned that this could be one of those deals where he wakes up tomorrow morning and...
Yeah, that's to TBD, to be determined. I experience with this is the guy plays, the whole fourth quarter. He said he felt fine. I trust him. I said, even if it's a little bit, you got to tell me, and he didn't really, but he'll get checked out, and I don't anticipate it being anything, quite honestly.